Alright, so we're going to create a simple clock in Illustrator. So I'm going to get started here by pushing the New File button, and I'm going to go for a regular letter size format. I'm going to push Create, and this is the Illustrator interface. Perhaps the first thing I'll do is save the file. So this is going to be I'm going to save on my computer. You could save on the cloud if you want to, but I'm going to stick to my computer for now, and I'm going to call this one Tétreault Yvan Clock, and I'm going to save right onto the desktop in Illustrator format. So that's one thing. And then it looks like I got a bunch here of panels that I don't really need for now, so I'm going to tidy up a little bit here. And there's one panel though that I do need. It's the Tools panel that I don't see, so I'm going to go to Window, here, Toolbars, and I'm going to ask for the basic toolbar right here. So one more thing that I should do as a setup thing would be to have the rulers appear. So this is done by doing Command R on the Mac and Control R on the PC. So you can see here we have rulers now, and I'm gonna push the Control button on a Mac, or you can right click on a PC, and I'm gonna switch my units into inches, because then I know my page indeed is 8.5 by 11. So what I want to do now is set up a few guides. So I'm going to try and find the center of my page. So I put a guide here at 4 1/4 and another one at 5 1/2, and this is going to be the center of my page. Now these are guides. They're very helpful. If you can select your guides, you should lock them. So you can lock and unlock the guides by going Command Option semicolon. Now I just did that, and now you can see that I'm able to make a selection of my guides, and that's typically not what you want to do. You typically don't want to move the guides by accident, so it's a good thing for them to be locked this way. So again, Command Option semicolon or Control Alt semicolon on the PC. What I'm going to do next is create another guide, but a circle guide this time for my clock. So I could go either from the center here, and if I press the Option key, I press and maintain the Option key, you can see that my little tool has changed appearance, and if I push on now I'm pressing both the Option and Shift key, which enables me to trace a very nice circle. So I don't want to go all the way to the edge, because most printers, they don't print right to the edge of the paper, so I want to keep a little margin. So that's one way of doing the circle. Another way would be just to make a selection of the circle tool, then click anywhere and say I want to have an 8 by 8 circle, which is going to leave me 1/4 of an inch of a margin on each side. So that's good too. And I'm going to turn this circle into a guide as well. So I'm going to make sure it's right in the center. And then I turn something into a guide by going Command 5 on a Mac or Control 5 on a PC. And as my guides are locked right now, I can't make a selection of this anymore. So this is my setup, my basic initial setup. This is going to be my clock. Probably the next step is to position the numbers. So there are several ways of doing that, but so you might go like this. I'm going to do a 12 here. I'm going to make this a little bigger. Now this is just typography on a path. Maybe I'm going to center things by doing Command Shift C, center things. And then the idea of what we're going to do is we want the numbers to circle around. So I'm going to press the Option key again here with my rotation tool active, and I'm going to press the center here, and I'm going to ask for a rotation angle of 30 degrees. The reason for that is that the full circle, again, is 360 degrees. There's 12 hours, 12 numbers to spread around the clock. So 360 divided by 12 is 30. So I'm going to press the copy here. And as you can see, the numbers, they go around like this. So the baseline is also rotated. And it's a little bit more difficult to adjust if you do it this way. So one thing, of course, you could do is just place the numbers manually everywhere. But I would like Illustrator to be able to put them in the right position to begin with. So it's gonna be slightly more complicated, but we can achieve that. So I'm gonna, what I just did right now was to create a text box. So instead of just clicking in the document and having text on a path, what I'm gonna have is a text box. So I'm drawing a rectangle. Then I'm going to write my 12. I'm going to call the character panel. And in there, I'm going to say that I want to work bigger. Say 48. Perhaps not bad. Maybe I can go for a little bigger. Still at 60. Yeah, that's good. I'm going to go, I think, for bold, black even. And now perhaps one last thing is that it looks to me like there's a little too much space in between the 1 and the 2 here. So I'm going to place my cursor right in the middle, and I can adjust the kerning value here. I'm going to say subtract 100 units, and it's not bad, maybe a little more, 110 or 120. In any case, that looks pretty good. So what I want to do next is to make my rectangle here as small. So I'm clicking on those little squares, and I'm gonna, if it's too small, then the content goes away. So I know that I can, this is pretty much, I think, as small as it gets for me. So then I'm gonna center my text in there. So I'm gonna do Command-Shift-C. Doesn't make any difference because it's so small, but it's gonna help later when I turn this 12 into the other numbers. So I'm going to do the same thing as before now. I'm going to make the rotation tool active. I'm going to go to the center of the document. I'm going to press the Option key, and you can see perhaps I'm going to zoom in a little bit. You can see that there's 3 little dots next to my tool now. So I'm going to, this is because the Option key is pressed. I'm going to click, and then I'm asking again for 30 degrees. So I'm going to copy here, and if I want to repeat the last thing I did, I do Command-D on the Mac and Control-D on a PC, and I go around the clock like that. Now what I want to do, and this is a little bit more complicated part, now I'll have to rotate these back. So I'm just making a selection now, and I'm going to go minus the value that they're at. So this one was at 30, this one is at 60, so it's going to be minus 60. It's always plus 30, so minus 60. This one is going to be minus 90 degrees. This one is going to be minus 120 degrees. And again, this is just to get the numbers right in the good position. If you think this is just too complicated, you could just put the numbers manually where you want them to be, and that would be fine too. Now I'm going to do the other side. The other side is going to be the same idea, except that I don't need the minus sign anymore because I'm on the other side. So this is going to be a 60 degree. We're getting there. Now 90 degree angle. This one is going to be 120, and the last one here is 150 degrees. All right, so it's starting to look like a clock. Actually, this could be a funny clock. It's always noon, but what I want to do now is turn these 12s into the numbers I need, and because I centered things in my box before, when I change the number now, it goes to the center. It should be right in the good position. So here, I'm just going around the clock, and everything seems to fit very nicely. My 10 here seems to be out. The box looks too small, but that's because I lost my tracking value. I'm going to be more careful this time here. All right. So this is what my basic clock looks like. There's one last step that I would like to do, and that is to put all these things onto a separate layer. Now, layers in Illustrator are sort of like a bunch of plastic sheets, if you will, on top of one another. So you can work on one and leave the others untouched, so you don't have to worry about undoing what you did before. So I'm going to make a selection of all the numbers here. I'm going to go to the Layers panel. Oops, not this one, but I think the Layers wasn't there actually. Layers here. And what I want to do now is to create a new layer. I'm going to call this number, I could call it hours maybe instead. And now the color associated with the hours is the red color. And you can see here that my selection on the layer number 1 is represented by that little blue square here. I'm just going to move this to the hours layer, and you can see now that everything is in red, meaning that this now is on the hours map. So I can make the layer invisible, so my numbers disappear, but I can also lock the layer by clicking on this little square here, and a lock appears. And this is very convenient because now I no longer need to worry about displacing my numbers. They're going to stay there. But it seems I can't do anything anymore. That's because that layer is locked indeed. So I need to move to that other layer here that I can rename. Maybe I'm going to call it decoration. And from now on, I'm going to work on that layer, and I'm going to add some more visuals to our very basic clock in the next video.